If you're a musician, if you make beats, if you play the piano, you have a gigantic opportunity. I'm Jamie Lewis. You also might know me as Producer Jamie. And in this video, I'm going to lay out the exact blueprint of how my Beats website did literally millions of dollars, and I did it independently without partners or a label. I'm going to spill the entire enchilada. This video has been in demand for years. So I promised you all that I would do it someday, and I would leak these trade secrets, and I'd do it for America. Sounds like a giant lawnmower. I'd do it for my fellow beat makers. Now, if you are a starving artist who has to continue with the day job, well, I think we both agree that you'd have to be pretty heavily intoxicated to turn this off, and you know it. So keep watching. So who is this for? As I was saying, this is for musicians. Heck, if you're a violinist or a vocalist even, this business model will work for you if you record instrumentals. That's why I said if you're a pianist or a music producer or a guitarist, people want instrumental music. And it'll even work for you if you're not the musician in your family, but you know somebody who is. Who is this not for? Well, people who are looking for a lottery ticket, a casino, or they're indecisive. You need to really want to 10x your business as a musician or a manager of musicians. You feel me? But before I say anything more, the Federal Trade Commission requires me to announce that my results are not typical, so there are no guarantees that you'll be able to do the same. Now, I will explain the recipe and the ingredients, but you must know that I'm extremely skilled. I play over 10 instruments and been doing it for over 40 years. I rap in 5 different languages and worked a few months straight to fine-tune my websites. So when I explain how 4 of my Beats websites made $10,000 a week collectively for years on autopilot, these are my results, not yours. And know that this info is also subject to change. There are multiple companies that you can work with, multiple genres, trends, industry obstacles. You need to steer the wheel, but I will try my best to get you going on the right path. All right, so what was this about that $10,000 a week? Well, what you're going to do is create a Beats vending machine or an ATM. You feel me? It's like one of those claw game machines in the mall, right? Or one of those mechanical ponies outside of the supermarket that take quarters. But singers, rappers, DJs, and also people who can't sleep will pump money into it in exchange for instrumental music or beats. See, for years, beat makers have come to me asking for help, and I try my best to help, right? But a lot of the time, it's always, your site doesn't convert. It looks nice, but it doesn't convert visitors into customers. Mine converts. In fact, if you send 5 rappers to my site, 1 will buy. That's 20%. So when someone buys, there's a special offer for $300 on the back end. That converts at 35%.
1 to 3 is buying it. 35%. Ha ha. 35%. What?
So to review, 1 out of 5 buy on the front, and then 1 out of 3 customers buy in the back. All right? A lot of people assume, oh, the millions of dollars, it's about luck. Nope. It's about polished conversion on autopilot. If you build it, they'll come. Now, there are multiple moving parts, so I'm going to try my absolute best to get you up and running with your own autopilot beat cash machine. But remember, my results are not typical. All right, but I'm going to do this by the end of the video. So what do these web pages look like, and what do they say and everything, right? Well, let me explain. I'm going to show you the blueprint, the diagram, and the mechanics, and I'm going to give you some creative ideas, and then I'm going to give you some tools. But before I do, I need to tell you what ingredients you don't need. All right, this is very important. You do not need an advertising budget, thousands of dollars, or a record label. Once the site is built, you don't need to actively work on it. It's like a retirement lifestyle. And you do not need to license other people's beats or music and pay ASCAP or BMI, like ringtone sites. And you don't need to actively post on social media to advertise. You don't need to sell in person or sell people in Messenger. And you don't need to waste your life away, fill your day with appointments. You don't need marketing software, and you don't need to sell your soul. All right? See, I literally thank the creative director at the Music House on 21st Street in Manhattan for firing me on that chilly-ass March morning. It was only in that moment that I decided to start a Beats website. My music was too hardcore. I got fired. I cried. I took the subway home, and then I saw other skinny white boys like myself were selling their beats on the internet. So I built a website. But at first, I priced the beats 1 by 1, $50 a piece. That's what I saw the competition doing. It didn't work for me. So out of desperation, I made it a membership for a certain amount of beats for only $15. On the front end of the site, before you buy, there were a certain amount of teasers. And a certain kind of teaser. Now, I know it was just an experiment, and it was a desperate one, right? So I put the site on clickbank.com. I was using Google Ads to test, and I remember I turned the campaign on and I got a sale. And then I got another one. Then affiliates started to make sales on ClickBank. The site started doing $100 a day. But then I saw this vehicle auction website. You would come to the site, you'd search for your make and model of car, and then end up on a make and model results page. Like, congratulations, your car is available. You've probably seen something like it before, right? So you might have guessed, I made the same thing but for my Beat site. And now, just like the vehicle auction site, I made my Beat site $29. And I also got a crazy idea for my tags, which are, by the way, they're the brand name audio mentions laid on top of the teasers. You probably know if you make beats, right? So I split tested hundreds of pages to find the best converting one. And oh my God, my earnings exploded. I turned on my Google test traffic again, and I got 5 sales in the first hour after the changes. This was my legendary I made it moment. I heard that melancholy music in my mind, you know what I'm saying? So the new design was hot. Long story short, this first site got up to $5,000 a week, which was around $700 a day. But yeah, all in all, that's how we got our front end converting as high as 20%. That's 1 out of 5 visitors buying, and our upsell converting at 35%.
It's high conversion rates of 35%. Let's go.
That's how this one site broke $1 million in sales. And heck, you think that's impressive? I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but later on I'm going to explain how all my Beat sites together, they did $5 million. But for this one, although my front-end membership was priced at $29, our overall average per customer was over $120 average. I don't know any Beat sites that do that type of volume because it's a combination of things, honestly. It was truly insane. And this was funny. After a couple of months of running it, when you searched for hip-hop beats, all you got was me or my affiliates promoting me. I was undoubtedly the king of hip-hop beats, that is, when it comes to Google. So it became an extremely popular monetization choice for the affiliates on the ClickBank marketplace. That is after I implemented the new design. And the sales ended up being around 90% driven by affiliates. And most of these affiliates, they weren't even musicians. They were nerds. And it's the same situation nowadays. That's good advice. Instead of recruiting customers, you recruit distributors, AKA affiliates, like Scarface did. So then I thought to myself, my competition sells non-exclusive beats for $50, right? And the exclusive beats, they would sell those for $300. It's like hosting, like shared or dedicated, right? So with the $50 non-exclusive beats, for instance, if I purchased a non-exclusive beat from my competitors, I can only use it for demos, right? And under a certain amount sold, which is fair. There's limits. Admittedly, when you buy my Beat membership, I did the same thing with mine. Sure, there were hundreds of beats that came with the membership that rappers could use, but for only $29, you better believe these weren't exclusive, right? I still own them, 100%. So I created a one-time offer upsell after you join, right? And for $297, I will release all limits and you will receive a license in the mail. It doesn't matter if you get famous with the beat on like American Idol or something, like I can't come after you and sue you, you know what I'm saying? It was like an insurance policy, but it was like 100% profit, right? I learned that when I worked at Sam Ash Music Store in Times Square in New York City. We would sell these warranties, right? You know, if you ever been to like Guitar Center, Sam Ash or something, like you walk in and you buy a keyboard, they always try to sell you that license at the end, you know, the warranty. They're like, make sure to try to sell the warranty, there's 100% profit, right? So I kind of learned that from there. So a customer purchased the front end for $29, sees the upsell, purchases that, and then they get a license sent in the mail, right? So my headline on that page, it converted like crazy. So you'd see 3 people buy, and then boom, you'd hit a $297 on average. So I started selling so many licenses for $297 on the back end, it got exhausting. So, you know, you could imagine sending out the licenses, right? So yes, it seriously encroached on my early retirement lifestyle. So I hired a guy in Houston, his name was Buster Dar off of Craigslist, to send the licenses out, right? Now everything was automated, but 6 months later, I got very, very bored. So I created, get this, a relaxing music website. But this time, because I had the template, I had this one up and running in days with the same vehicle search mechanism, right? But get this, the beats for this one, they were all single finger. Super easy beats. I'm telling you guys, I'm talking to producers. You loving this, right? Guys, this actually happened. I found out there were so many applications. If you're a musician, heck, some of them I never even got around to doing. But back to the historicals. See, during this production boom, so to speak, I would make beats, create the site, using the winning templates, and then do market research to find the best keywords. Keywords are the terms that people use when they search Google or YouTube, etc., right? An example of a keyword for my relaxing music site was sleep deprivation. In quotes, sleep deprivation music, those types of things. And I had around 100 other keywords that I would offer to affiliates on the affiliate page. So long story short, the relaxing music downloads now was another hit. So why not create another one? See, this is called scaling. Boom, produce more music, use my site templates from the highest converting pages. Now that I had the original one done, it was super fast to get another one up and running. Then the awards started getting sent in the mail. The CEO of ClickBank emailed me. Bought myself a BMW 645. My neighbors and friends were asking me if I sold drugs, but the sales kept coming. I ended up buying my dream house in Connecticut. I'm still here actually. But guys, you get the drift, don't make me get cringy. This is where I want to illustrate things for you. So I'll tell you what, let's hit my studio upstairs. Let's go. All right guys, so check this out.
We bring the bashment till we die. Original, make the music right.
So this is the old way of doing things, right? This would be your site where you're selling each beat for 50 bucks, right? But the problem is your customer, your buyer here, excuse the rough illustration, but he's basically like a rapper or a singer or someone who's watches American Idol, wants to get on American Idol, wants a demo tape, right? Needs instrumental music, right? What's going on in this buyer's mind is when he comes to the site, he likes what he hears in this beat, but he's saying to himself, do I like that beat enough to part with $50? And the answer is no. He doesn't like that beat enough. Oh, I'm just gonna keep searching and maybe I'll find something for free. I'll go on Reddit and I'll find some beats for free. So that's why this is not optimal. I see a million people doing it the old way nowadays. So here is the new way. I was explaining a little bit of this, but for those people who need it visualized or whatnot, this is why it works so well, is you have that same buyer, the person who needs beats, he needs instrumental beats for one reason or another, either the demo tapes or needs to fall asleep or for some other reason, the ultimate beat blueprint. So you have your front end. This is like the site where people, they visit for the first time. It's like your home page. And there's buttons up here, and then there's a banner here that says, hey, download 1,000 beats. Then there's a table, all right? And in this table, it has all the genres of beats. So people click on that, and depending on which genre of beat they clicked on, it goes to a dedicated page where it says, congrats! For instance, if you click on Dirty South, it'll go to the Dirty South results page. So in the Dirty South results page, it has 2 previews, Dirty South beats, and then it has a whole bunch of examples, but listen to them. That's very, very important. It illustrates so they can visualize. We're not playing around. We have dozens and dozens and hundreds of beats. Folks, the competition. Same singer rapper who wanted to buy a beat, liked what he heard, but he was $50 for $50. These. That's why it's like the McDonald's of beats. So it's number one, the value that buyers love, and then the teasers, the way that they're set up. And then there's a few other details actually, but we'll get into in a little bit. So at that point, they go through it, they're like, oh, I like what I hear. And when they click on these beats that are not available, and also there's links that say download, that's important. When you click on download, it goes to a sales page. That sales page is very similar to what is below this, all right? And then ultimately goes to the checkout. This model is so amazing. As I was explaining, it's like a vending machine. It just sits there on the internet. You do absolutely nothing. It's so ethical. It's so awesome. People love it. Your buyers love it. They're like, they send you emails. They're like, thank you. You don't need to do what I'm doing here, like teaching and you know what I mean? Like being a guru and all that shit. You just straight up have an autopilot machine on the internet that just pumps money into your accounts. So I used to use ClickBank, but now I use Explodely. And you'll notice that Beat Mogul uses Explodely as well because it's so top-notch, cutting edge. ClickBank's gotten really corporate, you know what I mean? So that's why I recommend Explodely. So that's pretty much why you use a marketplace like that. You know, you got your affiliates here, and then you've got Google, where people really start their searches for this type of stuff, like where your buyers are gonna usually, a lot of the time, go to Google or YouTube and they'll do a search for something. But you also have affiliates that have blogs. For instance, WorldStar is a great place to get sales. clothing, hip hop clothing sites are a great place to get sales. But that's why this works so much. The most important part about this instruction right here is what I was telling you about the old model. It's not valuable to people. This, it's like, oh my God, look at the value in this. Then you get that insane conversion. It's like we see 1 out of 5 people purchasing. You know what I mean? But there's a few other details, so let's head back into the kitchen. All right, so I hope so far that you're getting something out of this. In fact, let's review. Number 1, you sell a package, not individuals. Number 2, create a sales mechanism like I did with the vehicle search. Number 3, create a results page for every genre in the checkout page. Number 4, create a $297 upsell. Number 5, rinse and repeat the way that I did with the relaxing beats, trap beats, kids music, binaural beats, keep going. Every site I launch will do at least 1,000 a week. My first beat site does 5,000 a week. My relaxing music site does $2,500 a week on average. This was $5,000 a week in sales from just beat sites. No budget, no loans, no paid advertising, all affiliate driven. In fact, accumulatively, it's $1,400 a day. No paid advertising, all affiliate driven. So guys, I'm not mentioning any names, but the phone rang at 2 in the morning one night. Now I was just getting into bed after watching Tulsa King, and I picked